Hello, and welcome back to Speak English Daily.
Hi, everyone. We are very happy to see you here today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are so happy you are here with us today. If you enjoy learning English through real conversations, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us every week for more English practice. Today, we have a very interesting topic because we are going to talk about something every person does. We all change our minds. Maybe you think this is a small thing, but it happens every day, and it is important to know how to explain it politely in English. By the end of today's conversation, you will know several easy expressions that you can use in your daily life.
I think this is one of the most useful conversation skills because people often ask questions like, "Why did you change your mind?" or "What made you decide differently?" If you know how to answer these questions politely, your English will sound more natural. The good news is that you do not need difficult words. Simple and honest English is often the best choice.
That is true. First, let's remember something important. Changing your mind is completely normal. It does not mean you are confused or careless. Sometimes you learn something new. Sometimes your feelings change. Sometimes you simply find a better idea. Life changes every day, so our decisions can change too.
Let me give an easy example. Imagine your friend asks, "Where should we eat tonight?" At first, you decide on an Italian restaurant. Then you remember a small cafe that has your favorite food. You can simply say, "I changed my mind. Can we go to the cafe instead?" That sounds friendly, polite, and easy to understand.
Here's another situation that many people know. You make a plan with your friends for the weekend. Everyone wants to go to the park on Saturday. Later, your family tells you they are visiting your grandparents. Your plan changes. You can say, "I'm sorry, but I changed my mind because I want to spend time with my family." Giving a clear reason helps people understand your decision.
People often think they must give a long explanation, but that is not true. In many situations, one simple reason is enough. If your reason is honest, most people will understand and respect your decision.
Shopping is another good example. Maybe you decide to buy a white shirt. Before paying, you see a blue one that fits much better. You can smile and say, "I changed my mind. I would like the blue shirt instead." This happens every day, and nobody thinks it is strange.
Today's vocabulary is also very useful. The phrase "change your mind" means to make a different decision after thinking again. The word "decide" means choosing something. A plan is something you want to do in the future. A choice is the option you select, and a reason explains why you made that choice. Remember, changing your mind does not mean you were wrong. It often means you found a better choice, learned something new, or discovered a better reason for your decision, and that is a natural part of life.
Now that we know changing your mind is a normal part of life, let's look at some everyday situations where people change their minds. These are the kinds of conversations you might have with your family, friends, classmates, or coworkers. They are simple, but they happen all the time. Before we continue, we would love to hear from you. Have you changed your mind about something recently? Tell us in the comments. Reading your stories is always fun, and it helps everyone practice English together.
That is a great question. One situation I experience often is changing dinner plans. Imagine I tell my friend, "Let's order pizza tonight." A little later, I remember that I have been eating a lot of fast food this week. Then I think, maybe I should eat something healthier. I can send a simple message that says, "I changed my mind. I would prefer grilled chicken instead because I'm trying to eat better." It's honest, polite, and easy to understand.
I like that example because it shows how the word prefer works. When you say, "I prefer grilled chicken," you are saying you like that choice more. You're not being rude, you are simply explaining your new decision.
Movies are another good example. Have you ever spent 20 minutes trying to choose what to watch? I have. My first choice might be an action movie, but then someone says, How about a comedy? After thinking for a moment, I might answer, that sounds fun. I changed my mind. Let's watch the comedy instead. There's nothing strange about that conversation.
I have another common situation. Sometimes a friend invites you to go out in the evening. At first, you say yes because you think you have enough energy. Later, you finish work or school and feel tired. You might say, I'm sorry, but I decided to stay home because I need some rest. Most good friends will understand.
That reminds me of driving somewhere. Sometimes your usual road has heavy traffic. Your phone shows another route that is faster. You can tell the people in the car, let's go this way instead. I think it will save time. It's a small change, but it makes your trip easier.
I have a personal story about this. Last month, I planned to meet a friend for coffee after work. On my way there, I walked past a beautiful park. The weather was cool, the birds were singing, and it felt so peaceful. I called my friend and said, would you like to walk in the park instead of sitting in the cafe? She smiled and said yes. We talked for nearly 2 hours, and we both agreed it was a better idea. Sometimes changing your mind leads to a happier experience.
That is a wonderful story because it reminds us that our first decision is not always our final one. Maybe a better idea appears, maybe our feelings change, or maybe we simply have a good reason to choose something different. Learning how to explain those small everyday decisions will make your English sound more natural and more confident.
We have talked about everyday situations where people change their minds, but now let's make your English sound even more natural. If you always say, I changed my mind, people will understand you, but native speakers often use different expressions. Learning these phrases will help you sound friendlier and more confident.
I agree. Think about this situation. Your friend asks if you still want to join a weekend picnic. You can say, I thought about it again, and I think I'll stay home this weekend. That sentence feels softer than simply saying, no, I changed my mind. It shows that you spent some time thinking before making your decision.
Another useful expression is, I realized. This phrase tells people that something became clear to you. For example, you might say, I realized I have too much work to finish, or I realized I already have another appointment. You are not making an excuse, you are sharing the reason for your new decision.
I use that expression quite often. Sometimes I tell friends, I realized I need a quiet evening. It's simple, honest, and easy to understand. People usually respect that because everyone feels tired sometimes.
Here's another phrase that sounds natural. You can say, after thinking more. For example, after thinking more, I decided to wait before buying a new phone. This tells the listener that you did not make a quick decision. You considered your options carefully.
That brings us to another useful word, consider. It means thinking carefully before deciding. If you consider something, you give yourself time to look at different choices. That's a good habit in life, and it's a useful word in English conversations.
I also like the sentence, I decided it would be better. Imagine your friend wants to meet very late at night. You could say, I decided it would be better to meet tomorrow morning. You are still accepting the invitation, but you are suggesting another plan in a polite way.
Another friendly expression is, it makes more sense now. Maybe you wanted to drive across town, but someone tells you there's heavy traffic. You might answer, it makes more sense now to take the train. The listener can understand your thinking without feeling disappointed.
Notice something about all these examples. None of them sound cold or unfriendly. They explain your thoughts instead of ending the conversation with only one short sentence.
That is an important point. People usually appreciate an explanation because it helps them understand your decision. Even a short explanation makes the conversation feel warmer. You don't need difficult grammar. You only need honest words that make the other person feel respected.
Imagine two friends talking. One friend says, why aren't you coming to the beach tomorrow? The other answers, I thought about it again and I realized I need to finish an important project. I decided it would be better to stay home today. That answer feels calm and polite.
It also sounds comfortable because the speaker explains the reason instead of making the other person guess. When people understand why you changed your mind, they are much more likely to accept your decision with a smile.
Speaking of conversations, let's look at what often happens after you tell a friend that your plans have changed. Many learners worry about these moments because they are afraid of disappointing someone, but a friendly conversation can solve that problem very easily.
Let's imagine two friends planned a short trip for Saturday. One of them calls the night before.
Hi, I wanted to tell you something. I need to cancel our trip tomorrow.
Oh, really? Is everything okay?
Yes, everything is fine. I just found out that my cousin is visiting and my family hasn't seen her for a long time.
Thanks for telling me. I was looking forward to our trip, but I understand. Family visits can be important.
I hope you aren't upset. I didn't want to cancel at the last minute, but this was unexpected.
Don't worry, we can choose another weekend. We can be flexible.
That conversation stays positive because both people are honest, no one becomes angry, and both people listen carefully.
Here is another example. Imagine your friend asks, "Did you buy that new laptop you wanted?"
You could answer, "No, I decided not to buy it."
Then your friend might ask, "What changed?"
You can simply say, "After comparing a few models, I realized I didn't need a new one yet. The one I have still works well."
That answer sounds thoughtful instead of confusing.
One more situation happens at a party. Maybe you arrive feeling excited, but after an hour you become tired. A friend notices you putting on your coat and asks, "Are you leaving already?"
You could smile and answer, "Yes, I'm going home a little sooner because I have an early morning tomorrow."
Your friend might reply, "Thanks for coming. I hope you get some good rest."
Simple conversations like these show that changing your mind does not have to create problems. If you are honest, respectful, and willing to explain your reason, most people will understand. Being flexible and communicating clearly are valuable skills in English and in everyday life.
So far, we've talked about changing your mind in casual situations with friends and family. Now let's move to places where people sometimes feel more nervous, such as work or school. Many English learners worry that changing a decision in these situations might sound unprofessional, but the truth is that it can be done politely. The key is to communicate clearly and show respect for other people's time.
That's a great point. At work, new information appears all the time. You might begin working on one project and later discover another project that matches your skills better. There is nothing wrong with talking to your manager about it.
You could say, "I thought about it carefully and I believe I can contribute more to the marketing project. Would it be possible to discuss that option?" Notice that the speaker is making a request instead of a demand.
I like that example because it sounds confident but respectful. The word option is very useful here. An option is simply another possible choice. Instead of saying, "I don't want this project," you can say, "I was wondering if another option is available." That sounds much friendlier.
Another common situation involves your schedule. Perhaps you planned to work in the afternoon, but an important appointment suddenly appears. Instead of saying, "I can't do it," you could explain, "Would it be possible to change my schedule? I have an appointment that I wasn't expecting." Most workplaces appreciate honest communication.
School offers similar situations. Imagine you choose one class at the beginning of the semester. After attending a few lessons, you realize another class is a better fit for your learning goals. You could speak with your teacher and say, "After attending the first few classes, I think another course would help me improve more. May I change to that class?" That sounds polite and mature.
Sometimes we need to explain our decision in writing. Sending a polite message is an important skill. You don't need long sentences. For example, you might write, "Hello, I wanted to let you know that I have reconsidered my decision. I believe another option would be more suitable for my current situation. Thank you for your understanding." It's simple, respectful, and professional.
I think many learners worry too much about finding perfect words. People usually remember your attitude more than your grammar. If you are kind and respectful, your message leaves a good impression.
That reminds me of something that happened when I was in college. I had to give a presentation, and my first topic was about famous bridges around the world. I spent several days collecting pictures and facts. Then, while reading more, I realized another topic interested me much more. It was about how small inventions changed everyday life. I wasn't sure if I should change my presentation because I had already started my work.
What did you do?
First, I spoke with my teacher instead of making the decision by myself. I said, "I have been thinking about my presentation, and I believe another topic would help me give a stronger talk. Would it be possible to change it?" My teacher smiled and said, "Tell me why."
That must have made you feel better.
It did. I explained that I was more excited about the new topic, and I believed I could prepare a better presentation. My teacher agreed because my reason was clear. I worked harder, enjoyed the research, and the presentation turned out much better than I expected. That experience taught me that changing your mind is not a weakness when your goal is to improve your work.
That's a wonderful lesson. Sometimes people think they must continue with their first decision even when they know there is a better solution. Being willing to adjust your plans can lead to better results. And that idea doesn't only apply to school or work. Sometimes the biggest decisions in our lives begin with the simple sentence, "I've been thinking and I'd like to make a change."
That's a perfect way to introduce our next topic because some decisions affect not only one day or 1 week, but many years of our lives. These are the moments when people choose a different direction. They might decide to learn a new language, change careers, move to another city, or begin a hobby they never imagined trying before.
Learning English is a great example. Many people begin studying because they need it for work or school. Later, they discover something unexpected. They enjoy meeting people from different countries, watching movies without subtitles, or reading books in English. Their original reason changes, and their new goal becomes much bigger than they first imagined.
I've met many learners who started with one small purpose, but after a few months, they gained confidence. They realized they could have conversations with people from around the world. That confidence encouraged them to travel, apply for new jobs, or continue their education. One small decision created many new opportunities.
Changing careers is another important example. Someone may spend years working in one field before discovering a different job that feels more meaningful. That can be a difficult decision because change often feels uncertain, but many people say they are happier after following a path that matches their interests.
Moving to another city can feel the same way. Leaving familiar places is never easy. You leave friends, favorite restaurants, and daily routines. At first, the change may seem frightening. Then you meet new people, discover new experiences, and slowly build another home. Looking back, you may realize it was one of the best decisions you ever made.
Big changes do not always have to involve work or moving. Sometimes they begin with a simple hobby. Maybe someone starts painting, gardening, cooking, or learning to play the guitar. They try it because they are curious, and before long, it becomes an important part of their life.
I also believe changing daily habits can completely change your future. Waking up a little earlier, reading every evening, taking a walk after dinner, or practicing English for 20 minutes each day may seem like small decisions, but they grow into lasting habits. Those habits slowly shape the person you become. That is why I never feel afraid when I change my mind for a good reason. If a new decision helps me learn, grow, or become healthier and happier, I welcome that change. Sometimes changing your mind is not giving up on your goal. Sometimes it is choosing a better path to reach it.
I couldn't agree more. Life gives us many chances to learn, and every new experience teaches us something valuable. When you think carefully, communicate honestly, and make decisions that move you toward your future, changing your mind becomes a sign of growth rather than uncertainty.
Before we finish today's conversation, there's one more thing I'd like to share. Many English learners believe they always need to give a long explanation when they change a decision. In real life, native speakers often keep their answers much shorter. They don't always explain every detail, and that's completely normal.
That's true. Sometimes a short answer sounds more natural than a long speech. Imagine your friend asks, "Why did you choose another restaurant?" Instead of giving a 5-minute explanation, you might simply smile and say, "It just felt right." That sentence is casual, friendly, and common in everyday conversations.
Another useful expression is, "I wasn't sure anymore." Maybe you planned to buy something expensive, but later you started having doubts. If someone asks why you didn't buy it, you can answer, "I wasn't sure anymore." That tells the other person your feelings changed without making the conversation complicated.
Here's another expression you'll hear often. Things changed. Life doesn't always follow our plans. A family event appears, work becomes busy, or something unexpected happens. Instead of explaining every detail, you can simply say, "Things changed, so I had to make a different decision." Most people understand what you mean.
I also like the phrase, "I had another idea." It sounds positive because it focuses on the new choice instead of the old one. Imagine you planned to spend Saturday shopping, but later you decided to visit a museum. You could say, "I had another idea. I thought it would be fun to visit the museum instead."
Another simple expression is, "It wasn't the best choice for me." Notice those last two words, "for me." You are not saying the idea is bad for everyone. You are only saying it wasn't right for your own situation. That makes your answer polite and respectful.
This is also a good time to compare formal and casual English. If you're speaking with your manager or teacher, you might say, "After considering my options, I believe another approach would be more suitable." That sounds professional. But if you're talking to your best friend, you don't need such formal language. You can simply say, "I wasn't sure anymore," or "It just felt right."
Knowing when to use formal or casual English is an important skill. The words themselves may be different, but the message stays the same. You're explaining that your thinking changed.
And remember, natural English doesn't always mean using difficult vocabulary. Sometimes the simplest sentence is the most effective one. Native speakers often choose short, clear expressions because conversations move quickly. They don't always stop to explain every little detail unless someone asks for more information.
Let's imagine one more conversation. A friend says, "I thought you were coming with us this evening." You answer, "I know, things changed." Your friend asks, "Everything okay?" You reply, "Yes, I just wasn't sure anymore, and I decided to stay home." The conversation feels relaxed and friendly because your explanation is honest without being too long.
That's one of my favorite things about English conversations. They don't have to be perfect. They just need to be clear, kind, and natural.
And that's a wonderful lesson to remember, because learning English is not only about grammar, it's also about knowing how people really speak every day.
As we come to the end of today's conversation, let's take a moment to remember the most useful ideas we've shared. We started by learning that changing your mind is something everyone does. It happens when we learn new information, discover a better idea, or simply see a situation differently. There is nothing embarrassing about making a new decision when you have a good reason.
We also learned several helpful expressions. You can say, "I thought about it again." You can say, "I realized," or "after thinking more." You can explain, "I decided it would be better," and you can also use shorter expressions like "it just felt right" or "things changed." Each one helps your English sound more natural.
We talked about choosing another restaurant, changing dinner plans, staying home instead of going out, changing a project at work, selecting another class, and even making bigger life decisions. Every example had one important message. Good communication makes change much easier. When you explain your decision politely, people are much more likely to understand you.
We also learned that confidence grows with practice. At first, you may stop and think about every word. That is perfectly normal. The more you practice these expressions, the faster they will come to your mind. One day, you'll notice yourself using them naturally during real conversations.
Here's a final practice dialogue for everyone listening. Imagine your friend says, "I thought you wanted to join us this evening."
You could answer, "I did, but I thought about it again."
Your friend asks, "Why did you change your mind?"
You reply, "I realized I need some rest because tomorrow will be a busy day."
Your friend smiles and says, "I understand. Maybe next time."
Then you answer, "That sounds great. Thanks for understanding."
See how simple that conversation is? There are no difficult words, but it sounds friendly, respectful, and confident. Those are the kinds of conversations you can have every day as your English improves.
Before we say goodbye, we'd like to leave you with one final question to think about. What's one decision you've changed your mind about recently, and why? Try answering that question in English, even if your answer is only a few sentences long. Every bit of practice helps you become a stronger speaker.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Keep learning, keep speaking, keep believing in yourself. And remember that every positive change begins with one small decision.